Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm going to be doing a berry eye look using my Lawless The One palette, which is super beautiful. This was requested on my previous video where I talked about this palette, and I've been absolutely loving this eyeshadow palette, and I've been using it actually every day, some of the other shades, but I've done a few berry eye looks with it off camera, so I was really inspired to kind of show you guys this berry eye look right here. It's kind of a wearable everyday berry eye. It's not too smoky or too deep, I would say, but I think it's a really flattering purpley toned eye that is just like super beautiful, and everyone should try out a berry eye look. So if you want to see how I got this look, then please keep watching. To start out, I've already primed my eyelids with my MAC Painterly Paint Pot, and then I've also curled my lashes using my Surratt eyelash curler. So I'm going to move straight on to my Lawless palette here. And the first thing I'm going to do is take a fluffy brush. I'm going to take my good old Sigma E40 and take this first base shade and just set my eyelid primer. I love doing this no matter what because I have really oily skin and consequently really greasy eyelids. So I just really like to kind of set everything down so that first of all the oils don't peek through and that the primer sets, and then also because then the other powder eyeshadows kind of blend more effortlessly on top of it. Okay, so that is done, and then to just kind of get things going, I'm going to use this shade Everything, which I just absolutely love this shade. It's like the perfect kind of mid-toned, like warmish toned brown that's just nice and light, and it's the perfect transition shade no matter what color eye look you're doing. So I've used this, oops, this brush just shed a giant hair. I've used this using like the browns in this palette and the pinks, and I just love it. It's kind of just a nice easy shade. It reminds me of a Makeup Geek shade that I used to use that I can't think of the name of, but it's just a really nice light transition shade that's still going to kind of deepen up the crease. Now that the transition shade is on there, I'm going to move on to the pink shades. So I'm going to take this pink shade right here, which is called Baby, which is super cute name. This is like a nice baby pink color, obviously, but I think this one's a little bit more purpley cool toned, which I really like, and I think blended with this transition shade is just super beautiful. I think people can be wary of using pink shades on the eyes because if you use them like a lot and they're too like warm toned and light, and especially if you use them under the eye, you can really like kind of look sick or like you have pink eye, or just kind of like you have red kind of tired eyes. But if you get the right tones and the right intensity of the shade, then you won't look like that. So anyway, I'm just taking this big fluffy brush and just doing the same thing, just blending this through my crease. This is essentially really just going to be a transition shade, but this is going to make the whole look appear more pinky and not so much just like purple with a brown tone to kind of blend it out. This is going to kind of tie the two together. Now that the pink is on there, I'm going to build up the very purpley tones, and I'm going to take this super gorgeous shade right here, which is called Infatuation. This is like the most beautiful shade in the whole palette, maybe. It's like a super nice purple, and I'm taking this on my Real Techniques shading brush, which is just a dense little shader brush. And this is going to allow me to kind of pack this color on in the outer corner. So I'm going to pick up some and just kind of build up this outer third of my eye with this purple shade. And then once I kind of apply most of it here on the outer third of my lid, I'm going to take what's left over on my shading brush and make sure it's turned the skinny way and just gently run some through the crease. I don't want to get too heavy-handed with it. I don't want it to get too dark too quickly, and I don't want it to be too intense. That's why I'm just kind of using the leftovers and then really concentrating most of the color out here on this outer third to kind of intensify that region to make this like a smokier look. Now that this beautiful berry shade is on, I'm going to take this next darker shade, which is called Shady, on this same little brush and just also add this to the outer corner. Now this shade I'm not really going to bring through my crease at all like I did with the purple one. I want to kind of keep this concentrated on the outer like V of the eye here just to kind of build this area up. But if you want to go more intense all around, you certainly can bring this through the crease. I'm just kind of getting ready during the day today, and I'm not really going to go out tonight, so I didn't really want to make this too intense, so that's why I'm keeping mine on the outer V. But the other day I did a super beautiful look with these same colors, but instead of just keeping this on the outer third, I did the inner third as well and left the middle blank, and then just put the middle of my eyelid. I used this Cutie shade just for like a pop in the middle, and it was a super intense, like really beautiful kind of smoky eye. So if you want a tutorial on that look, let me know, but since I had already done that look, I was like really jonesing to do something else with these colors. So anyway, I'm just really concentrating this dark color out here, and I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side. So I've added that more intense color, and as you can see, it's looking like a hot mess. Nothing's really blended. It's kind of looking really patchy. So to kind of blend everything together, I'm gonna go back in with that baby shade on my big fluffy brush. And starting at the outer corner here, I'm just gonna try to blend everything together. This is kind of going to amp up the pink factor and also kind of blend all these shades together. And also just kind of smoke it out and make the whole look just a little bit more like lifted and smoky. So just keep blending and slightly adding a little bit more of the pink if you think it's needed, or deepening up that outer corner with some more of the dark shades if you think you need it. And I'm just gonna keep blending until it looks presentable. And I forgot to mention, I'm going to smoke out the lower lash line later, and I'm also going to add winged liner, so I'm not really concerned about how the outer corner of this eye look looks, because once part of it's covered with some winged liner, and then once I kind of smoke out the bottom lash line and connect it here in the corner, it's gonna blend a lot better. So I'm really just kind of focusing on getting this like top part of the lid where I'm buffing right now, making sure that's blended, because the corner will kind of all come together at the end once I connect it with the bottom lash line and add the liner. So this is pretty much as smoky as I'm wanting to get with this look. You can definitely keep building this up and amping up the intensity if you want to go for a deeper smoky eye, but I'm kind of going for a slightly more wearable berry look. But maybe it's not even really going to be that wearable at the end. It's going to be pretty dramatic, but I'm just saying you could make it more dramatic if you wanted. But I'm going to stop here just because I don't want anything too intense. You could also really deepen up the outer corner by adding this brown shade or the black to the corner, just to like really kind of deepen that up and make it more smoky and intense. But when I add black winged liner, I think I'm going to kind of get the same vibe. So I'm going to skip that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this gold shade right here, which is called Fling, and put that all over the lid. When I've used these berry shades in the past, I have used this shade right here, Cutie, which is absolutely beautiful. And if you're going for more of a monochromatic berry toned look, definitely use that. I just love kind of the contrast of like a yellowy gold with these berry tones. I think it's like super beautiful, and I'm just super inspired by that like color combination. So that's what I'm going to do today. But you do you, pick whichever color you want. So I'm just going to use my finger to do this because I find that with like glittery shades like this, it applies the most pigmented that way. So I'm just going to pick some of this shade up on my finger and dab it on. Alright, there is some gold definitely on there, and I find that the finger, using that to apply these shimmers, is the best way to get a lot of color payoff, but it is really hard to kind of get in those kind of smaller areas. So I'm taking this Sigma E55, just any dense kind of shader brush like this that you can really kind of pack the product on with, and I'm going to pick up some more and try to get into those smaller regions where it's just harder for my finger to achieve a precise application. Okay, and that's all good for the moment, and then I'm just going to go back in with my blending brush with nothing else on it and just kind of go over my crease once again to kind of blend this together. And at this point, if your gold has gone a little too far on top of your like deep colored outer corner, then I'm also going to go back with my little shader brush, and for me I'm going to pick up more of this Infatuation shade just because I kind of like this bright purple. I don't want it to be too dark, but you could definitely pick up more of Shady if you like. And I'm just going to get a little extra to kind of build that back up and make sure that the gold didn't completely cover it. And then once again, use any extra left on my brush to kind of buff through the crease. Now that we have a little bit more of that built up, I'm just going to go back in once again and buff this out. And I think I'm actually going to pick up a little bit more of that light pink baby shade, just for good measure to kind of buff everything out. Okay, so things have gotten really smoky, so what I'm going to do is now, of course, a little bit of the gold has been covered, so I'm just going to take some on my brush once again and hold it sideways and just make sure that right here in the center of my eye, where I want there to be the most like pop, I'm just going to pack a little extra on there just to make sure it's nice and bright. Packing on extra shimmer in this kind of spotlight center of the eye kind of gives the eye a little bit more of a round, brighter look, and I think that's really nice when you're going to add winged liner, because then it keeps your eyes from looking too elongated, unless you're going for the elongated look, but personally I'm just not today, so that's what I did. Then a little bit more buffing and we're looking good to go. Now I'm going to add a winged liner using my Maybelline Unstoppable eyeliner in the shade Onyx and my Kat Von D tattoo liner in Trooper, and add that winged liner. I'm not showing my whole winged eyeliner routine. I've actually done a video on it before. If you're curious, I'll link that up above. But the reason that I'm using this Maybelline Unstoppable kind of crayon eyeliner first, I use that first to like line a straight line on my eyes, and this is just my favorite way to apply winged liner. But another benefit of doing this is when you're using kind of a glittery shade like this gold that we have on, sometimes liquid liner I find kind of gets caught in the glitter, and it's kind of hard to get it to smoothly apply on top of like really chunky glitters. This isn't really a super chunky glitter, but if you were using something any more chunkier, or just anytime you're kind of using something shimmery, just because it has that bit of like grit and texture to it, I find that like liquid liner is just a little bit sticky to apply on top of that. So I really like using a crayon liner first because I can really draw it on really smoothly and then get a really straight line. And then if I want to, I can go over top of that with my liquid liner and kind of intensify the color. But this is how I always apply my winged liner. I do the line straight first with the crayon, and then I do the actual wing with the liquid liner. Winged liner is done, so I'm going to go ahead and apply my MAC in Extreme Dimension 3D Black Lash Mascara, which is the longest name ever. But I've been really loving this mascara lately. It's super dramatic. The formula is really like wet, I would say. I'm kind of waiting for it to dry out a little bit because it's kind of a lot comes out. This is like intense, but it's really nice for like a really dramatic look, and I've been actually wearing this mascara every day. Next, I need to finish the rest of my makeup because I am going to smoke out my lower lash line, but I need to apply my foundation and concealer and powder and everything first, and then I'll apply my bottom mascara and eyeshadow. So let me finish up the rest of my face and I'll be right back. Alright, I have finished the rest of my makeup, and I actually also used the Lawless foundation and the Lawless setting powders that I have. 2 of them anyway. So if you're curious about what the rest of my makeup is, I'll have everything listed in the description box down below. But I want to go ahead and finish this berry eye look, so I'm going to go back to my palette and take my pencil brush, which I just lost. Where'd it go? Here it is. Take my pencil brush and pick up this Infatuation shade. And like I mentioned before, using these pinky shades, I used this on my lower lash line the last time I did a berry look from this palette, and just any sort of pinky shade like this tends to make me just look a little bit sick, and like my eyes look a little bit red, especially since I wear contacts and my eyes tend to be kind of just bloodshot anyway from that. So just adding that like extra like pink is just kind of, I find, not very flattering on my personal eyes. So I like to stick to these purple shades. So I'm just going to really stick to Infatuation and Shady, and then if I need to kind of blend it out with anything, I would use Everything Not Baby. So I'm just personally going to kind of try to stick to this Infatuation shade, and just using my pencil brush, picking up a little bit and just kind of buffing this on my lower lash line. And I'm not going to go all the way in. I'm probably going to go like 2/3 of the way. And then to deepen it up, I'm going to take this little angled brush. This is like kind of like a brow brush, and pick up Shady and just really kind of like line under there. This is going to like really intensify it. And then once I kind of have this line on, I'll go back in with my pencil brush and that Infatuation shade and kind of blend it out. But again, I'm keeping this to just the outer 2/3 of my eyes, really. And then I'm also going to kind of connect this up to where my winged liner is, just so that this whole kind of purpley color is like connected. Okay, so that's it for the Shady shade, and then I'm just going to take a tiny bit more of Infatuation and just use that to blend this out. Now I'm just going to add some bottom lash mascara with my Clinique Lash Power Flutter to Full mascara in Black Onyx. And I like this because it has a nice little dense brush that's really good for getting these bottom lashes. Okay, now to finish everything off, I'm going to go back to my palette and take just a little shader brush and take this highlighting shade, which is Casual, and just highlight my inner corners and underneath my brow bone. I love using a bright highlight shade like this. I hate when an eyeshadow palette does not have a shade like this, because I just love a good inner corner highlight, and I think we all need a shade like this in our palette, but this shade is really intense, so it can kind of get overboard on the brow bone. So I'm just taking a little tiny bit and kind of blending that in. And if you find that the line is a little bit too harsh, just go back in with your fluffy brush and kind of blend the two together. Okay, and that is it for this berry eye look using the Lawless The One palette. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll try to kind of close my eyes to give you a little bit better of a close-up on the finished look and how I used the shades. I love these purpley tones. I honestly love all the shades in this palette. They're super beautiful, but I think these purpley tones and all these warm tones in this palette are just super flattering for blue eyes. So I just love wearing these shadows. I'm also really loving the formula of them. I find that they're not really creasing on me too bad. I find that my eyelids get really oily no matter what primer I use, and my eyeshadow kind of always creases. And if I do keep my makeup on for a super long time, this does crease on me, but for some reason these shadows really just hold up really well on my eyelids. So I'm super loving this palette, and I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this berry eye look. If you want to see any more tutorials using this palette or that other berry eye that I mentioned earlier in the video, then please leave a comment down below and give this video a thumbs up and let me know. As always, I'm uploading 2 days a week, so please subscribe if you haven't already so that you don't miss my next video, and thank you so much for watching.